I recently started watching a remake of the show Matlock. It's a different premise. It's not the old 1970s show, but it stars Kathy Bates. And the interesting thing about the show is when her character is getting introduced in the beginning, she talks about being older. I believe her character is 75 in the movie. You may not be 75, you may be 85, 95, 45, 55, 65, right in the middle. And she talks about how as we get older, we tend to be invisible. We're thought less of. People can perceive us as insignificant, and you may even be in the workplace if you're still working, and people are like, so when are you going to retire? And you want to say, so when are you going to give me money to retire? Or, gee, it's really none of your business. But the significance of it is, when she said that, it hit me really hard, especially as I'm aging and as a single parent empty nester, or you can even be an empty nester that is with a spouse or partner that maybe isn't fulfilling and your needs aren't getting met. Maybe you're, tired of each other. Not saying that's okay, but it's just that socialness and that validation you're not getting. So I thought about this Matlock character saying that, and I realized this is a common thing that happens with us as parents and as empty nester parents. Our adult kids can think, hey, great, they raised me, I'm out, here's where I am, here's what I'm doing, and you become an afterthought. You may feel like you've become an afterthought. You may feel like you've become an afterthought and that you're only available in your adult child's mind, like if they need a babysitter or just a courtesy check-in. But here's the important thing. You are not worthless. You are not aged out, and you still have that value. And it's so important as we get older. I was thinking about Kathy Bates' comment as that character, how in the new show, her character kind of goes around and gets things done other attorneys can't because she's older, because they take it for granted. So I decided, because we've talked a lot in these videos that I do about reframing our thoughts, looking at what we do have, not what we don't have, looking at what we do have and what can we do with it. And through the course of the show, Kathy Bates uses her superpower, as I call it, to really help solve these cases and get justice when she goes to trial. You may feel like you're not getting justice when you're spending time with your adult kids. If you go to dinner, if you have a family dinner, or there's events you're not included on, or if you feel like the kids are making your adults are making plans without you, not that they owe you an explanation, but maybe it's something you're included in, but you don't get a vote anymore. What you want doesn't seem valid anymore. Or when you're in the room with them, they're speaking over you, acting like you're not there. I've talked about this in other videos, and that is a disrespect. It is so important to know your worth, to keep your self-esteem, and to model for your children that just because you're older, just because maybe you're not in the workplace anymore, just because they think you're not contributing to society and it's in the past, the peak of your life, that you have value and worth. And that's going to start with maintaining boundaries. If you want to keep a healthy relationship with your children, it's imperative that you tell them, hey, excuse me, I'm feeling disrespected. I'm feeling unheard when you talk over me. I still have worth. You got to remember, back when you were a younger adult, you do feel like you have the answers to everything and that your parents' thinking is outdated. And, I always tell my best friend, it's like we have a responsibility to stay current on what's happening. So our thinking and our lifestyles are not expired. And what I mean by that is, If we choose not to engage, I don't mean you have to participate, but engage in being aware of verbiage that's being used or patterns with the millennials or Z's or X's, I don't know, all the really young ones, then we do look outdated, and we've kind of brought that on ourselves. So just a couple things in the summary, because I had this thought. It is not okay to allow others to treat you, including your adult children, as though you are less, as though you are invisible, as though you're outdated, as though, although you should keep current on what's happening to maintain a good relationship with them. Think about how you felt about your parents and their point of views if they weren't keeping current with trends. Because when we let ourselves be treated that way, even though society may think less as we're getting older, and we may feel invisible and we may feel alone, it's important that we still have a voice and know our self-worth, especially with your adult kids. Don't be afraid to lose your relationship with them, because a lot of people won't say how they feel for fear of losing that relationship. And what's happening is that you are giving away your power. You're saying what makes you happy is more important than what makes me happy. You might actually feel that way, except that every time we allow our adult kids to degrade us or not include us or speak over us and dismiss us, we're breaking a boundary we should have with ourselves of being treasured, loved, valued, and respected. You deserve that respect. They don't have to agree with you. But I've talked about this in other videos. When I see adults, kids with an older parent or grandparent in the room, you know, grandma, grandpa, the great aunt, and they're talking, well, you know, great Aunt Mary can't even hear anymore, and Aunt Mary's sitting there pretending like she can't hear you. But she knows what's going on. Don't pass that down. We're responsible to break the negative generational patterns for the next generation. So as you begin to stand up for yourself in these situations, I'm encouraging you to press in. Look at what you've done. Did you do that with anybody? Is it okay? And do you want to be treated that way? Know your worth. If I haven't mentioned it, my name is Dawn, the Recovery Lady. I hope this made sense today. It's been on my heart. You matter. Your age, being an empty nester, being a single empty nester, maybe being retired, feeling alone and isolated, you have worth and you matter. You don't need to hide. You don't need to isolate. And if the time you're with your adult kids, you aren't being treated with respect, maybe you want to limit that time. Don't have a high tolerance for inappropriate behavior. You may have grown up that way. It's never too late to break that pattern. And by your adult kids seeing you respect yourself, they will respect you more. You don't want to be the carpet to anybody. Again, I'm Dawn, the Recovery Lady, licensed behavioral health clinician here with a empty nest life tip today. That's important. Knowing your worth. Love you guys. See you next time.